Alistair, what's the overriding emotion?
Just satisfaction really for a lot of hard work by a lot of people at a great club. We've had to confront a fair few challenges throughout the course of the year, both as a playing group in terms of the injury toll at different stages, especially to key players, but also to the coaching group, and just different challenges we had to confront throughout the whole of the year, and to overcome them and get a victory on grand final day is a very, very special feeling for our footy club.
Alistair, is that about as convincing a performance as you could have hoped for going into the day?
Yeah, listen, we're absolutely stoked. We thought it was going to be a really tight contest. We prepared really well for the game. We prepared really well for this final series, and the result didn't come as a surprise to us. I don't mean to say that in an arrogant fashion, because we prepared so well, and even to the point of Cyril being available to play, we're fully confident that would be the case here. It was a risk, but our conditioning staff and medical staff and Cyril himself had done a lot of work, and he made an important contribution. He wasn't dominant today, but he made a really important contribution, and it's just reflective of the work that our club has done to get themselves ready for grand final day.
Alistair, the first 20 minutes, was that as clean and powerful, as fierce as you've seen your midfield play?
It was pretty tight early, but I was really pleased with our attack on the ball and our attack on the Sydney player when they had possession of the footy. Our tackling was first rate, and that enabled us to get some opportunities in the front half, and we're pleased. We missed a couple of set shots on goal early in the game that perhaps would have given us a little bit more scoreboard pressure, and we're a little bit worried about that. When you don't convert your chances early, sometimes they can come back to haunt you, but we had 4 consistent quarters today, and that doesn't happen very often when the two best sides are playing off on grand final day. It's very, very hard to keep that momentum going for the full 4 quarters, but to win all 4 quarters in a grand final is a very, very special effort, and reflective of the preparation that these guys had and the commitment they had to one another to try to make amends for a loss to these guys 2 years ago.
Alistair, the tackle count in the first quarter was 22-7, which is quite remarkable for anyone playing Sydney. How big an emphasis was it, especially early, with the physical pressure? And you talk about the attack on the ball, attack on the Sydney opponent.
Well, I suppose what was more remarkable about that is the fact that Sydney only had 7. It wasn't so much that we had somewhere around 20. Sydney are a side that are very, very aggressive in the tackle and are very, very good at it. And usually they're the side that has 20 or 25 tackles in a quarter. So that just said something about our hunts and our capacity to apply significant pressure to the Sydney ball carrier. And they were unable to do that to us as often as what they can normally do and what they would normally like. So that was pivotal. But at quarter time, despite a 20-point margin, we still thought that the Sydney side would come back, and so the second quarter in particular was really, really important to build on our momentum and get some real scoreboard pressure on the Sydney side by half time.
Clarko, Hodgie, congratulations to both of you. Could you just give me a couple of words to describe Hawthorn 2014, a couple of adjectives that, as you look back, you'll think this is the hallmarks of this team?
Jeez, haven't even thought about it, mate. I'm not into adjectives and that sort of stuff. It's a special feeling, and just great reward for these lads who have had to do some really tough yards throughout the course of the year. You got an adjective for us?
I'm from Colac, mate. You're from Coniva. Probably wrong 2 people to ask.
Alistair, is it more, if anything, more satisfying than maybe your other 2 here because of the hurdles you've had to overcome and because of the issues the club has faced through the year?
You don't like to compare because all 3 are very, very special, but I suppose given some of the circumstances, and even the very circumstance of trying to go back to back in the current era is really, really difficult. It's been done seldomly in the modern era, and we're enormously proud of that. We didn't actually speak too much about that right throughout the course of the year. I mean, our driving motivation really was just to get ourselves back in the finals contention and top 4 throughout the course of the year. And it was only in the last 2 to 3 weeks that it became a reality, in a sense that this is achievable. And we had a guy as influential as Jason Dunstall who indicated to us just how special it would be for our footy club and for this group of players to win back-to-back flags. But that's only really materialised in the last couple of weeks. Is really the only time we've given it any thought.
Alistair, you had some tough selections to make. Can you give us an insight into the decision to prefer Ben McAvoy over Jonathan Segler?
Well, it was a really tough call. It was probably just the size of the bodies, really. You know, Tippett and Pike are big men. Those three rucks for us in Hale, Segler and McAvoy have all made enormous contributions throughout the course of the year for us. And you know, Segs is really stiff. He missed out. He's a young player. He's got enormous character. I've known his family for over 25 years, and so it was a really hard call for me personally to make too, because I've got enormous admiration for his father and that whole family. So that was a really difficult call to make. But there can't be sentiment in these types of decisions. There needs to be methodical decision making based on what we think is the best lineup to play for our club and represent the side on that particular day and help us win the flag. And you know, and John O'Simkin was really stiff too. You know, it was probably obvious to everyone that he was probably going to be the one to miss if Cyril was able to get up. And we knew that for some time without being absolutely sure that Cyril was going to get through. But his training over the last 2 to 3 weeks has been really good, and albeit that he only played a little bit of game time last week at Box Hill, it was enough for us to be convinced that he was able to get through a game of footy today. And I walked into the change rooms after the parade yesterday. We got a basketball ring in our warm-up area, and I saw Cyril dunking the ball. I thought to myself, well, if he's prepared to dunk the footy, he's going to be okay today. So I was pleased to see that. And probably the other one who's missed out. Now, we got 35 guys that represented our club this year, and they've all made enormous contributions to this success, and so has Box Hill. We nearly had to sacrifice the Box Hill premiership in a sense last week. Pulled out McAvoy and Sewell before the game. Obviously had to pull Cyril out by three-quarter time, and they had a couple of other unfortunate injuries to Lukey Andrews and Sammy Isles that really crippled our Box Hill side, and had to make some enormous sacrifice. But John O'Simkin, Jonathan Segler, and Brad Sewell, who's been such a great servant of our footy club, it's hard to leave those guys out. But as I said earlier, you need to pick a side that we think gives us the best advantage to try and win a game of footy, and we think we did that.
Just on that, Alistair, given everything you've had to overcome this year, how much is this premiership a product of the hard lessons you learned from 2009 in particular? You know, with all the personnel problems you had back then, and you've certainly changed a few things after that year.
Yeah, we all live and learn, and sometimes it's the hard way. 2008, we won a flag perhaps a little bit prematurely in terms of the whole football world, including ourselves as a club. We weren't prepared for our success to come as quickly as that, and we had some injuries, and also didn't know how to handle reaching the pinnacle so early as a footy club, a playing group or a coaching group. We're all pretty inexperienced at that point in time, so the benefit of wisdom over successive finals campaigns has really helped us. We've had some disappointment along the way. Prelim final loss to the Pies when we were well in control of that game for 3 quarters, and then a grand final loss the following year to the Sydney sides. As disappointing as those things are when they occur at the time, they do steal your resolve, and they've helped us be able to respond really well and win premierships in successive years, which is a pretty special effort.
Luke, how significant was the 2012 loss as a motivating factor, particularly early today?
Look, we've got a lot of competitive people in our side, and it's not only the 2012 loss, it was the 2011, as Clarko touched on. It was 2007 loss to North Melbourne, still rings in a few of the guys' guts as ones that you let sort of slip, and they're all motivational factors, I believe. That's what pushes you. the feeling you get after a loss of a final knowing your season's finished, it sits in your guts for a long time. And that's where you can see by the attitude of the guys today. From the first bounce, as you touched on earlier, how ferocious we were at the ball and at the opponent showed that we were ready to play today.
Luke, you mentioned in the pre-game press conference the other day how you were perhaps motivated by the fear of failure at times and the missed opportunities, but now that you're a premiership captain 2 times and Norm Smith medalist, can you tell us a bit about how the achievement sits with you?
Look, at the moment it's a lot of joy. I think it's a lot of hard work that we've gone through. Obviously, we've went through a lot of things that we hadn't been through. I haven't had a coach that hasn't coached for 5 weeks, but what I found out from our group this year was when things go against us, that how many people are willing to step up, bond together. Like our coaches when Clarko missed for 5 weeks were unbelievable. All of them took more responsibility. It wasn't Bolts has been pat on the back a lot, but it was all the coaches that took more responsibility, and it was the same as the playing group. When Mitch and Gibbo went down, the younger guys stood up. It was Gus Littleland, it was Mitch Hallahan, it was Alex Woodward in there, Will Langford. It was a lot of guys that, young in terms of experience in AFL football, that stood up and didn't do too much. They did what we expected them to, which has been pretty much how we've been going the last 4 or 5 years, is come in, play your role and do the team thing, which is why a day like today is we've got so many blokes that had a consistent performance because they just did what everyone else was asking them to.
And Alistair mentioned that Dunstall had talked about how amazing back-to-back would be for your footy club. Can you sort of elaborate on that?
As players, you go back to 2012. Bung was the only person who, I know, it's sort of hard in a losing room because everyone's down and this and that. Bung sat in there with all the boys, had a couple of beers with us and pretty much joked around to make sure the mood got a bit better. And when he sort of touched on it and just sort of said that it's going to be a fantastic feat, considering how even the AFL is this year. It's hard enough to make it to top 4, let alone grand final, and win it 2 years in a row. He just mentioned what a fantastic achievement we've got in front of us if we're able to do it. And especially coming from a bloke like Bung, who everyone in our football clubs, all the supporters love. I know he's very, very tight with Clarko, but he's someone that everyone respects.
Alistair, how close was that to the perfect day on what you planned to do as a coaching group? And I was wondering, at what stage did you finally relax?
I never relax too easily, Bruiser. Maybe the last 10 minutes when I think Lee Matthews is the one that says when the amount of goals that are required outstretch the amount of minutes that are left in the game, that's when you can start to relax a little bit. And there was 10 minutes to go and 11 goals to get. So probably the last 10 minutes, but we've planned for a long time for this. I know that the game materialises in a manner that say everything worked perfectly for us today. We didn't, not in our wildest dreams did we anticipate it was going to be a 10-goal victory for our side this year. In actual fact, no one saw it coming in terms of that margin, and many didn't see it coming even in that result because we're the underdogs. We probably deserve to be the underdogs given Sydney's outstanding season, but we gave ourselves a great chance. We play really well at this ground. We enjoy playing this ground, and we've got great support from our brown and gold supporters. And once again, they were out in full force again today, and we're just absolutely delighted. We've got 68,000 members, and with a victory like this will hopefully push us past 70,000 next year and continue to be a significant force in this competition.
Alistair, that line you keep using, that if you lose a soldier, you bring another one up. What's it say that today, without one of your significant players, you win the premiership and prove you're the better side?
Can you run that again, Bruce, please?
You know how you do that line, one soldier goes, another one steps up.
Yeah.
This year you're out without one of your significant players of last year. You win it again, proves that you're the better team. What's it say for you?
I think what it says is that that clubs and squads win premierships, and that you need to use all your personnel at different stages. Hodgie mentioned it early on. When we had some significant hurdles to overcome, particularly the significance of the players that we had missing in that middle part of the season, and we had some really important players come into our side, young players, inexperienced, that just really, really methodical with the way that they go about their footy, but they're really well led. They understand. They get great comfort out of the Hodges and the Gibsons and the Mitchells and the Burgoynes and Lakes and these type of guys, playing with them and giving them direction on how to go about it. And that's probably the greatest message for us. You know, we will lose from some players from time to time, and you know, there's no bigger player in the game to lose than someone like a Franklin, who obviously moved to Sydney this time last year, but it's a reflection of your whole program when other guys can step up and rise to the plate and rise to the occasion and fulfil a role for our side and help us win some silverware again the following year.
History has looked back pretty good on those Geelong sides that won 3 in 5 years. What do you think history will say about this Hawthorn side in 3 in 7 years?
I think that's for others to say rather than us.
How much admiration do you have for the bloke next to you at the moment?
Yeah, I'd love to give him a man cuddle there. He's been a special contributor to our footy club. Special day for him, Norm Smith medalist for the second time, but in his 250th game. But I'm probably better off giving him that cuddle in private rather than in front of you. Sorry?
How's he growing between the first and the second?
It's probably just his leadership and respect that he's held, not just for our footy club and those within it, but universal respect right through the competition. And a very, very decorated player now. There's only one other guy, I think, or two, in terms of Gary Ayres and Andrew McLeod, that have won dual Norm Smith medalist, so he's got a special place in history now.
And Luke, can I ask you, I suppose, just to reflect on Alistair, 3 premiership successes as a coach. I think John Kennedy's got the statue. Can you just talk about his
pretty small statue? I think with Clarko, one thing since he arrived at the footy club, he's always pushed his players to get better. He's never satisfied. Which is a great thing to have as a coach, that every time that you're doing things well, he'll set the bar higher. Every time you're not playing so well, he'll give you a cuddle and make sure the confidence to keep working. And we know our last 2 years has been fairly consistent, but we're going to come back with some pretty high targets again next year. And that's, as a footy club, it probably filters through from Clarko, the coaches, into the other players, that our expectations are very high of one another because of probably the standards that he brought into our footy club, and we've been able to follow with how he's led us, which, as I said, without a coach, he's someone who you sit back, have a beer with, have a joke with, even though he's got some shocking jokes at times. But he's one of those blokes you sit back and just love to spend time with, because as far as football side of things, he's always looking to get better himself. He's always looking to make others get better. But then you flip to the personal side of things, and every time you speak to him, it's always, how's Loz going, how's the kids going, not just myself, but with all the players with their wives and partners as well. Which, when a coach is talking to you about your family, that you automatically know how much he cares about you and everything that you're doing.
Thank you.